I could too, I would break down with you. Bum, 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 bum. Welcome,
That's
guys.
amazing.
Simply,
Is that song, or did you make that up?
it's not. I did not make it up. I mean, I made up the words, but it's to the tune of "My Boyfriend's Back" by what was her name, Leslie something. I don't remember. Anyway, it doesn't matter because we're not talking about that shit. We're talking about Nightcrawler, aka We're Simply Amazing, the podcast that talks about Nightcrawler weekly or semi-weekly, or I'm just going to say it ahead of time. Probably next week, guys, there's probably not going to be an episode because I have finals week, and I know Lauren's got a ton of shit going on this week as well. So next week we might be not about show up, but we'll come back after that. Don't you worry about it. I am Lisa, aka the OG Nocturne. We always come back. We always come back. I am Lisa, the OG Nocturne, and I have the gorgeous, wonderful, having a breakdown, but keeping it in right now. Lauren, how you doing, girl?
Well, other than about to literally have breakdown, I'm doing great. I'm ready to get through the night and get through the morning tomorrow. And then hopefully things will be okay for the next few days, but we'll see. But we're here because I had X-Men as a 30-minute distraction. So that was actually really great.
Yes, and we got we'll cover both episodes, but like, I mean, we're just going to talk about the Kurt stuff because that's the stuff that really matters.
It's true.
Both episodes were great for Kurt. We're talking about obviously episode 7 and 8 of X-Men 97. Both episodes were great for Kurt, but I think my favorite thing about both episodes was so much like there was more sibling stuff between Kurt and Rogue in these two episodes than there have been in the past 40 some odd years of canon.
Agreed. 1,000%. That really hit on the head for me. I was like, we should have been getting this whole time. And it's not even like we're getting a lot, to be honest. That's how starved we've been. But yeah, it's just like, holy fucking shit. Wow. Not only is it like, oh yeah, they're siblings, but like they're siblings who care about each other and want to support each other. And it was just, yeah, it's great. I love it.
It is. And, you know, so in episode 7, we see Kurt, you know, we're heading over Gambit's funeral, which of course was very sad. But I mean, I gotta be honest, like Kurt is like the Confucius of the show because I feel like every time he comes up on screen and has a moment, everything that comes out of his mouth is so profound and so on point, and it's just, oh, I've loved it so much. They are doing so good by our boy, so good.
They are, and like, listen, every comics writer right now, pay the fuck attention because if you're writing Kurt now. And you're like, shove it. All right. I am so excited for Gail to write the comics because I think she's going to continue to do him justice in the comic format. But yeah, I completely agree. Like, he said great stuff at Gambit's funeral and throughout that episode, his first appearance in the show, he did great. And then this 8th episode, where he has those, especially those moments with Jean in terms of what he, you know, great things he says. He says it perfectly, and I'm like, dear God, like I nearly cried when I saw that because I was like, and to be fair, I was spoiled on it ahead of time because Twitter can't quiet themselves down, which I get, it's fine, but I was spoiled on it, but I still almost cried because I was like, just hearing him say it. And that's the other thing I wanted to bring up since we're talking about the show still, and because of what I said before, Kurt's voice is growing on me now in this show. I am not as some kind of way about it, and I am very pleased with that. I am very happy with it. They're making it work. And I think part of it is because they're writing him as he should be. You know, he's in character. He's saying the right things, and so yeah, like his voice is working for me really well now. And I'm so glad. I'm so grateful for that. So like. Oh, 10 out of 10 Kurtz. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Oh, okay. I want to talk about the Jean moment as well, because that was a really beautiful scene in a lot of different ways. And the thing about X-Men that really attracts all of us to X-Men is that their experience is a profoundly human experience. I mean, they're not scientists who got hit by gamma rays. They're not kids who got bit by spiders. Like, they were born this way, and this is the life that they have to lead. And of course, there's a lot of different, you know, parallels that we can pull you know, in the real world and the X-Men. Of course, there are tons of parallels, you know, with like civil rights in the 60s and LGBTQ rights more recently. But I want to talk about like just that moment between Kurt and Jean where she talked about like her experience with Maddie's pregnancy. Again, not something that anybody in the world really can relate to, because obviously there's not many of us who have a psychic connection with somebody else who was pregnant. However, right? However, it spoke to me on a level of like, I've never been pregnant or lost a child, but it spoke to me on that level of like, oh my God, it's so reminiscent, I'm sure, for someone who has been through that, you know, like going, like Jean has, she has all those memories. She has the memories of the child being inside her. She has the memories of giving birth to the child, but the child isn't here. And you know, that is such an enormous loss for people. And Scott, of course, is going through the same thing, but just from a different side of it. But you know, Jean is left with that like weirdness of you know, identity, because that wasn't actually her. And you know, the things that Kurt says during that scene, just about the idea of found family, right? And you know, talking about how he was rejected by his mother. I think he even says like, I was too blue for her, which cute, you know, probably wasn't the blue thing, but you know, he was rejected by his mother, but you know, he managed to find his sister in Rogue, and you know, they could have chosen to be enemies. They could have chosen to ignore each other. They could have chosen so many different ways to take that like knowledge of that relation, but they chose instead to be family. And you know, that, you know, family is not just blood. Family is, you know, the people that you surround yourself with. And there's just no better metaphor.
Blood. Yeah, he said blood is blood, family is a choice.
Yes, and there's just no better metaphor for the X-Men, because that's what the X-Men are. The X-Men are a found family, you know. I mean, the only other, you know, Marvel property that comes close to the idea of family is the Fantastic Four, but they literally are a family. So, yeah, like that was a beautiful scene that was just really well done. And you know, like I will say that in these past two episodes, I mean, the stakes have gotten higher by introducing Bastian, because Bastian is turning out to be a crazy awesome villain. I am obsessed with Bastian right now.
Yeah, he's pretty good. Yeah, just going back on what you said, because I didn't even think about like when Jean was talking about that stuff with the feelings and Mad Limbo wasn't really her and things like that. Like I felt a lot watching that scene, but I wasn't sure why, beyond like, wow, like this is kind of sad, and you know, it was all written and acted and animated, of course, but that's a great thing you bring up, a great connection. With, you know, losing a child, you know, a miscarriage, or, you know, even if you have to do an abortion or you choose to, you know, anything like that, like that's really tough. So I'm interested to see if anyone that has had an experience such as one of those things and is willing to, you know, talk about that and, you know, hear their reaction to that scene and see if it did do kind of what you said for them, at least. Because yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Just more brilliance in the show, obviously. Yeah, I thought it was funny when Kurt said, you know, Mystique abandoned me, and you know, I was too blue, and I was like, damn it, I swear to God, if they keep going this route, we won't get Destiny. I'm gonna sue.
I mean, Destiny's coming. Like, there's just no doubt about it. I still believe that Val Cooper is Mystique, and I feel like, I mean, there's a chance she's not. I just feel like she's becoming like more radicalized, but on the side of mutants. And so for part of me is like, is this bitch Mystique? Come on, is this bitch Mystique? But you know, she's coming eventually. Just one more little thing on the topic of the family thing. This whole family thing kind of, it's a thread that went through the entire episode, because not only did we learn about Bastian and his family, and how he was raised, but then there's that great moment with the Summerses where they're like fighting all the, I don't know, the toasters. We're going to call them toasters because that's what they called them in the show, which I loved that, because that's what we called Vision, and Vision's a fucking toaster.
Yeah.
So when they're fighting all the toasters, you know, there's that moment where it's like, let's show them what it means to like fuck with the Summers. And it's Cable, Jean, and Scott. And like we're coming straight off of the moment in the last episode where Cable like snaps at Jean and is basically like, "You're not my fucking mom." And now in this one, it's like this moment of like, again, found family, because they're not a family, but they are close enough to one. So that was really nice too.
They're not. I mean, well, the funny thing with them is that it's like, well, they're not blood, but they're technically blood.
I mean,
too, which is it's just terribly. Yeah, I love you're completely right though. But yeah, it's terribly funny because it's just more confusing in that scenario. Like yeah, I don't know. And Mystique being Val Cooper, I don't know how they pull that off at this point, given her like big monologue towards the end of this 8th episode, which was brilliant. I mean, and again, just incredible, such amazing writing, great delivery, and great timing in the episode, of course. I mean, it just blew me away. And then I know we said we're only talking about Kurt, but of course we wander off as X-Men fans do. We're like, we're only gonna talk about this one thing we love, and then we find 20,000 other things. It's what we do as fans. So it's not Avengers fans. We talk about everything at once. Okay, I'm sorry. Just kidding. I love you, Avengers fans. Kind of. But but you know, with Magneto like getting out and then being like enough, and the whole lead up right before that where she's like, and the one thing I could think in my head amongst all the death and chaos and how horrible it was and even scary, but we weren't surprised, which again, that was pure genius. None of us were surprised this massacre happened. Not even me. I was like, oh, this works for so many real life things right now, you know, shootings, other situations. I mean, this is just crazy. And again, just, you know, ongoing like racism and attacks. And I mean, it just works for a million things. It's crazy. And then him just going enough and then basically like, moving the magnetic poles or something to fuck shit up on the earth. I mean, that was fucking mind blowing. I was like, I can't completely tell you what just happened. I can tell you though, like it was some magnetic pole earth shit that Magneto did, and that shit was insane. Like it's funny too because he kind of had a Wanda moment from House of M. He didn't go no more mutants. But he did basically an equivalent for his position, which is to say you've had enough and to use your power to one of the greatest extents possible. He had a Wanda moment.
He had a moment where it wasn't no more mutants. It was no more 21st century, bitches. We're going back to the 1600s. Electricity, bye. Like TV, bye. Silver Samurai hanging out in Japan. Oh, guess what? You can't see shit anymore because I took it. Like he took everything. But I mean, it won the battle because, you know, obviously without like that's the one thing that robots need. Robots need electricity or some kind of form of power and energy. And if they don't have it, they don't have it. But you know, there's just so many metaphors and there's so many things that relate to our life. A lot of the stuff that Val Cooper was saying, and especially I got to talk about Bastian because first of all, Kurt fans, be on guard. This is the guy who took our boy out. So just be on guard. We don't know what's going to happen. But first of all, so second of all, he's voiced by Theo James, which if you guys don't know that, he was in the Divergent films. But most importantly, and I've mentioned this a couple times on Twitter, he was the Turk that Lady Mary fucked to death in Downton Abbey. Y'all got to watch Downton Abbey if you haven't watched it already, because I mean, listen, X fans, Downton Abbey is right up your alley because it's the same. It's basically X-Men, but without powers, just a bunch of soap opera bullshit with rich people living in a castle. So anyway, but yeah, Bastian I've been so impressed with him as a villain. I mean, the things he's talked about, talking about the idea of the Genosha being a way, like the attack on Genosha not being about the travesty so much as being about a way to create complacency among everybody else, because it's true.
The line that got me the most out of the whole episode from him, which I agree with you, he's a very great villain already, and he kind of came out of, not necessarily didn't come out of nowhere, like he had no precedent, but him being a good villain was just right out of the gate. You know, it didn't take a lot of lead up or a bunch of episodes for him to get good. But the line that got me which is what you're kind of referring there, there was the line where he tells Val Cooper, well, Genosha was not a genocide. It was time management. And I fucking lost it because I was like, are you fucking kidding me? And that's what makes him a good villain, is that this fucker really believes that he really believes that It's just crazy to me. And it again, his rationale and his fucked up logic behind it was written very well for him to be a villain. And I'm just like, this is so fucked. And this is exactly what makes a good X-Men villain. They have to go all the way fucked.
Well, there's a lot of very specific alt-right politics, or at least like there's a lot of this happening in the show that I think is really smart, but also like kind of scary because we're living it. So, there's this theory by the alt-right that there's the great replacement theory, where the idea of the great replacement theory is that, white people are being replaced. All these other races are coming and white people are being replaced. I mean, listen, guys, have you been out on the streets lately? I mean, where are the white people? I haven't seen a white person since I looked at my fucking face. Anyway, clearly it's bullshit. But a lot, like the things that Bastian were saying are very much in line with that theory, but of course with mutants and humans instead of, the fun. I even posted this on Twitter earlier because like he even gets into the took our jobs. He's like, like what happened? Like how do you, what do you tell the taxi driver, who lost his job because there's teleporters? And what do you tell, the energy company who got shut down because there are mutants who can make their own electricity? And he has a point, but like, again, but just like with the great replacement theory, like, there's behind those things, there are legitimate issues, but those legitimate issues get wrapped up in like race and gender and ethnicity and different things that make people hate and be angry about the wrong thing. So it's like, are people going to lose their jobs over mutants coming through and having better abilities? Possibly, yeah, that's probably going to happen. Just like the idea, like, will people maybe lose their jobs if we have more immigrants coming in? Maybe that's what's going to happen. But is the problem the mutants? Is the problem the immigrants? Or is the problem the job creators and the people who are hiring? You know what I mean? It's like society has to evolve with people, with humanity, with what comes from humanity. And what happens is all the hatred comes out of the people who refuse to evolve with it. So I thought that was brilliant, bringing up that whole thing. And then, learning, of course, that, Bastian came from Nimrod, and, we are steaming straight ahead into Orcus. We are really heading to Orcus.
I mean, yeah, the second I saw Nimrod, I was like, fuck out of here already. God damn, we're speeding that up. But we started talking a lot, of course, about the plot and all these other things that happen. I wanted to go back to talking about Kurt because we talked about a lot of things he said, especially his 8th episode, that were great. He had a couple good lines in the 7th as well, especially at the funeral. But man, his swashbuckling ass is back, and he's got the swords. The second I saw that close up of the tail and the sword in it, I literally squealed. I was like, yes. Like the second I saw Kurt fighting, it was like everything's okay now in the episode. And then of course the second he stopped, I was like, okay, now everything's terrible and panicky again. But like it was just absolutely wonderful. Like this is right now. This is Kurt at some of his best. I think we can all agree on that. And if not, it's fine. But like, open your eyes, or maybe you just are as traumatized as the rest of us fans are. I don't know. But like,
if you disagree, you're wrong. That's I'm just gonna say it. If you disagree, you're wrong. That's it. I got to comment on the swords because, I mean, I knew it was coming because I'd already seen the image on Twitter. But when he gets thrown out of the room and then falls and the swords fall on the ground, it was like a moment of like, oh my god, it's fucking coming. And as a Nightcrawler fan, I feel like this is a moment that we've been waiting for so fucking long. Like, because in the comics, it's something that he does a lot. He's a swordsman, and he uses his swords, and he uses all 3 of his appendages for the swords. This is something he's done since like the 80s at least, So, but it's never been done in a cartoon or a movie. It's never been like, I think the closest they ever came to it might have been like in the newer X-Men movies. I think like the Cody Smith-McPhee Nightcrawler might have had like a fucking, I don't know, some kind of like a knife in his tail or something. I don't know. But it's just never, I mean, we've been waiting, and it's finally here, and it was fucking magical. And the way it happened with Wolverine, where Wolverine's like, I got six reasons, and Kurt's like, oh no, make that 9 reasons, and he shows up with his freaking 3 swords. Oh, so good, just so good.
Yeah.
And
I'm so glad you brought up Wolverine fighting with him as well. It was animation top notch. The fight animation was phenomenal, and then the one that I keep seeing people on Twitter talk about, and they're very right, is really cool moment where Kurt teleports a bad guy, but Wolverine still got his claws in him, so Wolverine goes with him, and you kind of see the whole, in the teleportation up until they actually get to the destination. And that was kind of cool. I was kind of hoping we'd see more of like the Brimstone dimension though, because like the whole thing is that he teleports through the Brimstone dimension and then he gets to his area.
He doesn't even see it. Like he doesn't even see the Brimstone dimension.
Fair. So like that's why I was like, it would have been kind of cool to even see like a little bit of fire or something, but it's all good. It was still really fucking cool. Very well done, and just give me more of that. Absolutely give me more. Like Kurt said, like the craziest part with that too was Logan comes in after he's been struggling to fight these things, and he's fucking Logan, and then Kurt out of nowhere is just cutting off heads the second he starts swinging. He's cutting off heads left and right. I was like, I know this is no offense to Logan, but like, damn, like Kurt's showing him up just a little bit right now. Like,
I mean, we were almost at Darkholme levels, but of course, those weren't actual people. Here I'm confused because they are people, but like they're robot people now. So like, did they just kill a bunch of people, or are those people like gonna like wake up and be like, oh, what happened? Like is Trish Tilby dead now?
Yeah. No, that's a good question, because like I remember he told Bastian said that they come in, they're willfully being a part of the study as far as they are concerned with the limited information he gives them. They're like, okay, that sounds great. But then he wipes their minds and then they wake up in their normal daily lives. But it looked like, they were in their daily lives, but then it almost looked like an Order 66 kind of thing from like Star Wars, where it's like, all right, activate them all immediately. And I think that's what they did. Is it was like, okay, so they're in their daily lives having fun, but now, all right, now you're only focused on us and what we want to do now. No daily life. That's gone now. Bye-bye.
Very MK Ultra of Bastian. Very.
Yeah.
Listen, Trish Tilby was really trying to fucking get with Hank, and I'm just like, I can't watch this. Girl, you're barking up the wrong goddamn tree. I mean, ugh. But in the comics they fuck, so whatever.
And of course, we have to talk about the surprise cameos, which I want to use this as a quick moment, a further platform. This is why you should do superhero stuff and animation more than live action, because it was so much easier for them to do cameos here that they would have to work infinitely harder to get in live action and to do.
Oh my God, like Doom, Silver Samurai, there was Spider-Man was there.
They covered multiple bases. You got Dr. Doom, so that means the Fantastic Four could get involved at some point. You've got Spider-Man, obviously, which is huge, which furthers our Spider-Man and Nightcrawler agenda. I'm not sure exactly what the specifics of that agenda are, but as long as they are hanging out in some way, I think we're all in agreement of that. But whatever. And then, you had Silver Samurai, and I think there might have been another person or two. I'm not thinking of.
There were a bunch of people. Like there were random. I'm trying to remember. There was. I think Baron Zemo was there. I want to say there were a bunch of people.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was really fucking cool.
I would not be surprised if this season ends with a massive. So if anybody out there read X-Men Red, which I'm talking about Tom Taylor's X-Men Red, not Krakoa X-Men Red, their big bad at the very end was Cassandra Nova. And the way that they had to fight Cassandra Nova, they had every goddamn superhero in the end of that book. They all got together and they were all wearing Magneto helmets to defeat Cassandra Nova. And there was something about this episode that just reminded me of that and made me wonder if like, by the end of this season, the way they defeat Bastian is they have to like get together with other superheroes. And I'm wondering if that's why we saw Spider-Man. You know what I mean? And that's why we saw certain characters.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the Avengers show up eventually, which, I mean, listen, Kurt and Wanda should meet probably. So
then Lisa, you're gonna have that episode. Lisa be like, "Okay, stop playing. Where is she? Where is Nocturne? Y'all are playing Marvel. I swear to God."
I mean, now that we've seen shit in the future, we've seen Rachel and stuff. Like, give me Nocturne. Just give me a fucking blue chick.
Yeah,
just put a blue chick over there.
To see Rachel.
Can I just
yeah, I know.
If I saw a blue chick in the background that was Nocturne, that's enough for me right now. Oh, I would lose my fucking mind.
Just have her there. Yeah, like maybe we can see an alternate like future or reality and just see her for a second. That'd be fun. But yeah, like it was definitely really cool seeing those cameos. And I thought the same thing. I was like, they're setting up to have our people involved, which makes sense given. I mean, and I'm so glad they thought to do it and that they were able to get those cameos in because it makes it more realistic, which they're going for a lot in this. They're making this more adult. It's more realistic because like Magneto fucked up the entire Earth by doing what he did, which means all these other heroes across the globe, Spider-Man and all these other people, they're going to be having to deal with shit in their own area at least. So even if there isn't some big like, team up fight in the end, and it's just a couple little group ups here or there, and then we just kind of hear from Spider-Man what's going on here, or hear from somebody else. It's still setting up and creating this kind of world almost, and furthering my hope that they are going to continue investing in the animation side of Marvel and continue doing good stuff like this.
I don't think there's any way they're not going to keep doing. So here's something I just thought about while you were talking. What if, so we saw Rachel's been introduced basically. Like what if by the end of this there becomes a situation where it's like, okay, humans are like, listen, we're not loving mutants, but like we're willing to live with mutants. But in order to live with mutants, like we really need you guys to like clean up your side of the street. So if you got bad mutants who are doing bad shit, you got to take care of it, right? What if that leads to teams breaking up into different places? What if that leads to Emma opening up her Boston school for the Hellions? What if that leads to Kurt and Rachel coming back and Kurt goes to Europe to handle European mutants with Excalibur? I mean, the possibilities are endless. I just desperately want them to.
I agree.
I would just love it so much.
Yeah, they could absolutely potentially be setting up for something like that. I do want to say though, the one disappointment I had with this episode that I can think of at the moment, I don't know if there'll be more. I hope not. But and this isn't the worst thing ever, but the one I have is that Storm still is not back, apparently. You're telling me all this shit happened and she still had not flown across the fucking globe to help the fuck out after we saw her reaction on TV with Forge episodes ago? That's fucking bullshit. Where is she? Oh, but Charles called her back at the end. She'd already be there. Fight me. Absolutely fight me.
Girl, give the girl a break. I mean, like, listen, the girl, she lost her powers. She lost her powers. She had to fight the adversary. She got her powers back. And then immediately Genosha was genocided. Like, I don't give the girl, I don't give her problems for, just taking a Folgers moment. She just wanted to finish her coffee. Let her finish her coffee, and she'll be there.
If that's the story that, she's dealing with her own grief, and she turned the TV off, so she didn't know what happened until Magneto did what he did to the fucking Earth, and something was wrong for everybody. I get it, but I'm also just I'm not mad at her as a character. I'm not really. I mean, I'm kind of mad, but it's okay. But it's just more writing wise. You ended that episode with Storm looking at the TV and be like, "Oh my god, I can't believe that." And I'm like, Storm wouldn't just sit there and do nothing. She might cry for a bit, but then eventually she would fucking go. I think she'd be crying as she flew there immediately. I think she'd immediately go. She can't sit still when something like that happens. She's not she's already feeling all this guilt about leaving now, and she couldn't help then, and all these things, but it's all good. I was just that was my one nitpick with that. I was kind of like, she would be back by now, or she would have at least attempted to get back, and then something got in the way or something happened. I would rather have nation.
I would rather nitpick about Xavier showing up and being like, am I late? And it's like, bitch, I actually tweeted this. He shows up like a boomer coming to Chili's 5 minutes before closing. Yes, you're fucking too late. Yes, you're
Dude,
late.
You're so right. You're so right. That shit. Well, the part that pissed me off even more than that, and you found another nitpick of mine because I was thinking this during the episode. So when they find out on the news that Xavier's alive, right? I was like, oh man, if they find out he's alive, somebody's gonna be pissed, somebody's gonna be hurt, and they fucking should be. He literally abandoned them and made them think he's dead and shit. And now they're further suffering because of what he did. Like, absolutely not. Fuck you. You know what? If I'm not mistaken, nobody was like, fuck him, fuck our dad that left us, fuck this shit. And he comes back, he's like, I hope I'm not too late. You can't say that. Gambit's dead. You know this. We saw that scene where you realized that and you came back. You are beyond too late. And also, the other X-Men, at least some of them, should be pissed as shit with you. Logan, I hope he wants to stab him in the head next episode, because if not, I got nothing. Scott, I mean, I don't care if that's like, oh, but we missed you, we're glad you're back. He should be pissed he was abandoned by his other father figure. That makes sense. He was abandoned as a child. He was pulled away from his parents, and now his other father figure left him. Scott should be pissed as shit with Charles. I mean, y'all, somebody's got to be mad at Charles here. That is an X-Men. Somebody has to be mad.
This bitch thinks he's James T. Kirk flying around fucking aliens, and your kids are dying. Your kids are dying while that's happening.
Right. You're so right.
You know, like, it's just, and like, you know who took care of your kids while you were gone? Fucking Magneto. Magneto was right.
Yeah. And I'm gonna go back to that because you brought it up and you're right. I saw everybody tweeting today before I watched the episode like Magneto was right and this and this. And I was like, oh, here we go again. It's just for fun. But after watching the lead up to it and then hearing that line in the episode and how they did it, I was like, my God, they sold the shit out of this. Absolutely. Like, I'm sitting here like, listen, on both sides, I think there should be a common middle between Charles's utopia dream that can't happen and Magneto's realistic, but also goes too far at times vision, right? There has to be a middle. But man, after that shit, I'm like, nope, Magneto's right. That's it. I don't care anymore. He's so right.
Do you know what really lends credence to Magneto's position is that so Magneto and Charles are very much two of the same. So they come from the same background as far as they're mutants, but their backgrounds are very different. Charles was raised in privilege. He was raised rich. He was raised, so he has the, ability to say humans are good because in his life, humans have been good to him not because of his mutation, but because of other things he had to offer. Magneto does not come from that. Magneto comes from a place of having been persecuted for something he can't help. And we're not even having to do with mutation, but his whole story starts being persecuted for something that he can't help, that he can't change. And so for him, it's like, okay, I already had to deal with this because I was Jewish during the Holocaust. So I know this game. I know how this works. So that's why it's really hard to not side with Magneto in so many ways because Charles, yeah, you're a fucking Nepo baby. Like you grew up with rich parents who took care of you. And yes, you're idealized because that's all you've known. Magneto has known the exact opposite. The thing is that what's the right way to do things is probably somewhere in between. But at the same time, it's really hard to argue with Magneto because he's done it. He's been through it before. So he's trying to stop what he's already seen.
Right. And I love they brought it up because one detail, especially that I really appreciate during the episode and that really the emotion stronger through the episode and especially with Valerie Cooper's like little monologue and things like that is before she released him and then during her releasing him, they zoomed in on his arm where he's got the number from being put in those camps and things like that during the Holocaust and how she talked about during her little monologue of the shit just keeps happening. We're never surprised when it happens. We're scared, of course, because it is terrifying each time it happens, but we're never surprised. It's the same fucking cycle, and it zooms in on that, and it just further goes to show what the X-Men are all about, which is representing the realist and ironically most human shit that we, fucking deal with and live with. And it furthers, as you pointed out, the sympathy and, for some people, empathy you can have with Magneto, and furthers and makes it far more invest all of us as the audience, whether we're on his side before or not, we're far more likely to agree when she says Magneto was right at that point. It's like, well, shit. I mean, even if I saw a gray area before and still technically do, it doesn't matter now. Like it's gone. Or even if I was like, fuck Magneto, I'm like, well, he was he's a Holocaust survivor and all these things. I mean, yeah, you're completely right. That's a really, there's just so much going on. It's so well done. I can't get over it.
There's two types of people who are working towards acceptance, and there's the person who says that I will do whatever I have to do until I'm accepted, and there's a person who says that I don't have to do anything to be accepted. Just being who I am is enough to be accepted. And that's Magneto. Magneto is that person, and Charles is the person who says, well, I'll just have to figure out how to bend and contort myself to fit into that square hole. Where Magneto is like, I'm not going to fucking fit in a square hole. I'll find the hole that fits me. And not like that fucking, okay. I found a freaking manga someone sent to me on Reddit, and it was about holes in a mountainside, and it has tortured me ever since then. I recommend no one look it up, but look it up so we can all be tortured together. Anyway, but yeah, it's, Magneto is unapologetically who he is. And that's why I think that he would love Kurt as a son-in-law.
Oh, for sure. But Kurt sees more of that middle ground. That's where they're not going to agree. Magneto's going to be like, fuck this shit, we're out. And Kurt's going to be like, okay, but we need balance. Remember this, The
thing is, and Magneto
like, absolutely not Kurt.
Magneto won't give a shit. He won't even talk to Kurt about politics, because his whole thing will be like, thank fucking God my daughter's not dating that goddamn toaster anymore. I had to deal with my fucking son marrying an Inhuman, and now I've got a half Inhuman granddaughter. Just give me a nice mutant child. Give me a nice mutant grandchild. That's what I want. He's a nice little bubby. He wants a little mutant grandchild.
No, I could see that. But yeah, 7 and 8 were both really good episodes. I am excited for the next 2. There's only 2 more this season, which makes me sad as shit. Wild. But the good news is that season 2 is already in the works, and they are renewed through season 3, I guess. So that makes me very happy. I just hope that we can still get really good quality stuff in a reasonable time frame. I don't like to say I want it quickly, because then that means we're probably gonna get something rough and not good, and nobody wants that. So I want a great product. I still want great shit for season 2. Just, a reasonable time frame as possible, please. I appreciate it. Like, let's not overwork people and treat them like crap. But, I'm still a fan, and I want
agreed. Totally agreed. I'm loving it. And, like I always say, if you want more, turn to fandom, because there's so much fanfic out there. There's so much out there to read and enjoy. You'll find it. So like 10 stars, 11 stars. I don't know how many stars are available, but all the stars. I couldn't be happier with how it's so funny, because I had no interest in this show when they announced it, only because even though I watched the original animated series when I was a kid, once I revisited it doesn't, I'm sorry guys, you can say it holds up all you want. It doesn't. It's very much a kid's show for kids. So, I mean, it was fine. It's fine. It's good for what it is, but it's not, what they've given us has so much more depth and heart, and it harkens to the message that the X-Men have been sending since the 1960s. But it does it in a way that very, very, very much it very much integrates itself into what's going on today. Because the problem about history is that, things will happen 40, 50 years ago, and we won't even consider that those things that happened then are affecting what we're doing now. But look at this. I mean, I'm just very impressed. I think they've done a phenomenal job, and I can't wait to see more. Just put Nocturne somewhere. Just throw her in somewhere. Guys, throw me a bone. Listen, I know here's the thing. I'm going to say this, and this is going to sound crazy, but I used to hang out with a guy who was one of the main writers on Wolverine and the X-Men, and then he started writing about Wanda and Kurt, and I was like, that's got to be me. That's got to be mine. I mean, who else? So, whatever. Anyway, I'm just saying, please.
I support it. I completely agree. It's a great time. This is the time for X-Men fans. So if you're listening to this and you're like, okay, I just listened to Simply Amazing still, but I'm not watching a show. What are you doing? Watch it, coward.
If you are listening to this and not watching it, I don't want you listening. Get the fuck out. Done. Get out. No, I'm kidding. Listen, I love you so much. Listen to us. Anyway.
I'll say, if you're like, I don't have time to watch 30 minutes episodes, but I can listen to a 40-something recording, I'm not complaining.
No. And if you don't have Disney Plus and you're not able to watch it, well, join the Discord. We have our Nightcrawler Discord, and every Sunday I play the most recent episode of X-Men 97. So there's no reason for you to miss it. Come join us on Discord. Sundays at 10:30. You can watch X-Men 97 with us.
Yeah. And if you need an invite link, don't be afraid to tweet at us. You can tweet at us with a regular tweet. You can DM us. You can also email us. All these links are always below in the description of these episodes. So just don't be shy. All right. I know a lot of us like to be shy and we're like, nah, I'm imposing. Please impose. Please ask. We need all the Nightcrawler stands together. It matters.
You guys don't understand. You are my only friends. I have no one else. I live in a bubble by myself. I'm the bubble boy. So please reach out. Please. It was Moops all along. Anyway. All right, guys. Well, thanks, guys, for joining us again for another fabulous episode of Simply Amazing. I mean, the Simply Amazing of this episode is fucking Kurt and his sabers.
Oh my god, yes, and the tail holding the saber. Oh my god, we've had the tail episode before, but I feel like we're gonna need to have another after this season because
we'll have to see if Anna's available because she is the tail expert. She's all about the
Dr. Picard. We're gonna hit you up, Goral. She'll never reply to us again. We're gonna hit you up. Please come back because tail time. Tail time.
Tail time, like Tool Time from Home Improvement. Anyway, I've had like a glass and a half of wine, so FYI, guys. So yeah, but not just Dr. Picard. Anyone listening, if you guys want to come on and talk about Nightcrawler in any way, like come on and let us know. We have a very specific rule that if I can relate whatever you want to talk to Nightcrawler within under 6 degrees, you can come talk about it. And so far, I think the most impressive thing I've done is relate the entire country of Brazil to Nightcrawler. So please let us know what you want to talk about. Come talk to us. We'll make it happen. We'd love to talk to you about whatever you want to talk about because I will relate it to Kurt no matter what.
Yep. Just give us like a month to catch up. I know that sounds forever. But the good news is I think Lisa's doing a bit better sick-wise. She's getting there and her finals are going to be done. And hopefully my work emergency that I'm going to have a breakdown over after this is going to be taken care of. We'll be out of the crisis. So yeah, it's going to be great. But we want to be our best for you always.
Yeah. If you are on the East Coast, anywhere between Panama City, Georgia, all the way up to about, I would say like DC, and you feel a tremor in the earth, that's just Lauren having a breakdown. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's it. I see. California always had the earthquakes because they just have a lot of people having breakdowns there all the time. But here, everybody else contains their breakdowns on this coast. It's a problem we have. So when somebody does actually have like a major breakdown, we all feel it together.
That is true. We did have an earthquake a couple weeks ago up here in New York. You know that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that was you. That was you. Oh, listen, this bitch coming up. This bitch, she goes a couple hours north and has her breakdown and gives us an earthquake. That's how she does it. I know you. I'm on to you. I'm on to you, girl.
This is why Lisa won't have me back at her house. She's like, absolutely not. No earthquakes, bitch.
That's true. However, you are invited just in case. So if you don't know, Airbnb is doing a Xavier Mansion. They literally created an Xavier Mansion in upstate New York.
I saw that. And then like Westchester, New York. Listen, that video, it looks too good to be true. I'm like, this is fake, or it's like $1 million to stay in. Ain't no way.
I signed up for it. And you're coming. If you're coming, if I get it, you're coming.
What? Wait, so what's the sign up list? Is it for like to get invited, or like what is it?
Girl, go on Airbnb and request any date, put in 8 people. And if you get it, then let me know and we'll, like whatever. It's just go on Airbnb and sign up for it. It's one of those things where they'll send you if you get accepted, they'll, let you know. But I'm hoping I get accepted. I have my friend up here who also did it and he's hoping he gets accepted. So yeah, more people who do it, just invite me because I told you about it. But yeah,
we just need to all invite each other so that all us Kurt fans are there. It's gonna become the Kurt Mansion. I think that should be our main goal here, is to make it the Kurt Mansion for one weekend.
The only thing I hate about it is that you have to be chosen. Like they did the same thing with Barbie last year in Malibu, and it was like, oh, you have to like you can't just you have to like asked to do it and then be chosen. And it was like, no, I will pay whatever you want to do it. So just let me do it. So we'll see if we get chosen. If we do, let me tell you, we are recording from the X Mansion. Oh, we're amazing.
Oh my God. That price isn't bad either. I just pulled it up. What the fuck?
It's $97. So, okay. It's $97 per person per night.
That's still not bad. What the fuck? I'm so confused.
No, it's not bad. So guys, sign up for it and invite me and Lauren if you get tagged, because we're coming. So
I was gonna say, we'll make up some deal to make it worth your time. We'll do an episode there, or maybe like 5. Like you'll be on them, of course. Like what the hell ever. It's gonna be amazing. Simply amazing.
We'll do an episode there, and we will do a karaoke battle there. And
yes,
I will bring my dog Daisy May.
I love it. I think everybody's looking at the page too much. I keep trying to open it on the Airbnb page and I keep getting error messages. I think everybody's looking at the X Mansion now. Damn.
Probably do the app, because you can't actually access the reservation through the website. You have to do it through the app. But anyway, guys, thank you so much again for joining us for a fabulous episode of Simply Amazing. Lauren, tell them where they can find you.
You can find me on a lot of social media, Twitter and Instagram. Those are the main ones I use. I think I'm on others, but I don't really use them. At Friendly MBHD. Bye. Come bother me anytime.
And I don't usually share this, but I'll say this. I'm the OG Nocturne and it's NACHTURNE on Twitter. I'm Nocturne, just NACHTURNE on Instagram. And if you want to see my art collection, I have an art collection Instagram too. So just text me and I'll send you the link and you can see my art that I have. Right now, Lauren can see my collection, my Dolly Parton right behind me and my Andy Warhol. Oh, and there's my Picasso right now. So yeah, so come follow us. But specifically what you should follow is Simply Amazing, and that's simplyamazingpod.com. Come find us. All of our socials are there. Blue Sky. To be honest, we're mostly on Twitter. It's a hell site, but at the same time, it's where we're at. So that's where you're going to find us for the most part, is on Twitter. But yeah, come find us. Come talk to us. Let us know if you'd love to be a guest, because we'd love to have more guests on, talk about anything that I can relate to Kurt in under 6 degrees. And like I said, I was able to relate the entire country of Brazil, so we can make it happen no matter what. I did Superman 3 times, I think. Superman, the guy kept asking for a new one, and I kept doing it. So I did it 3 times. So yeah, so come. We want you to come on and do these things. So simplyamazingpod.com. All of our information is there. And if you are out there and thinking to yourself, I wish I had a tail for a saber. Yeah, we all fucking wish we had a tail, but you're still simply amazing.